Question. You just talked about how the full lotus posture is equivalent to a gold pagoda, and half lotus posture is equivalent to a silver pagoda. Now, will you please discuss meditation? Answer by the Master. Don't be too anxious. You will only bite off more than you can chew. If you cannot sit in full lotus yet, sit in half lotus. The faster you want to go, the slower you're going to get there. Study one day at a time. Don't try to graduate from college right away. Comment. I just want to learn more. Answer by the Master. You have to empty your brain if you want to learn more. If you don't empty your brain and all that falsehood in it, you will not be able to put any Dharma in there. Comment. You just don't want to put it in for me. Answer from the Master. You're always discontent. You first have to build the foundation to the house well. If the foundation of the house is not well built, the house will not be solid either. A house is useless, just sitting there, unless it's been well grounded. Question. Now that I've taken the first step, what is the second step? Answer by the Master. Take it slow. You don't even necessarily understand everything I've just said right now. Wait until you can understand what I'm saying. That way, you will also understand why I don't say anything. Wisdom. The whole purpose of sitting in Chan is to open wisdom. From beginningless time until now, because we have not known to sit in Chan and not known how to cultivate wisdom, we have grown more and more deluded. We have allowed our random thoughts to accumulate and proliferate. The purpose of investigating Chan is to become fully awake. But awakening has no shape or color. It's not something we can reckon or try to fathom with our ordinary human intellect. What's meant by awakening anyway? It means coming to understand how we are born and how we will die. We need to understand where we came from at birth and where we will go at death. With that understanding, we smash through ignorance. Once we smash through ignorance, we will no longer have afflictions. Without afflictions, we won't generate errant thoughts. Once those errant thoughts die down, deviant thoughts will also lessen. With not so many deviant thoughts cluttering our minds, proper thoughts will appear. With proper thoughts in our minds, our wisdom will increase day by day. Consider the grass in springtime. We may not notice its growth, yet it keeps getting taller and taller every day. Wisdom develops in the same way. Once we have proper mindfulness and lessen our deviant thoughts, our wisdom will grow. Can wisdom be seen? No. It can't be seen because wisdom is a very sacred and spiritual thing. But whether or not someone has wisdom can be detected. As long as we continue doing stupid things, then we still don't have wisdom. But if we refrain from our former deluded and upside-down ways, then we can be said to have acquired some wisdom. Wisdom is found by returning to the source and going back to the origin. That process is the opening of our inherent wisdom, mine. As this mine is opened, we begin to truly understand. Ultimate true understanding defines a Buddha. A Buddha is really not that different from an ordinary person. The only difference lies in the fact that a Buddha has opened wisdom. Those of us who believe in the Buddha do not have to seek spiritual powers or wonderful functioning, such as the 3 bodies, the 4 wisdoms, the 5 eyes, the 6 spiritual penetrations. All we have to do is believe in the Buddha's wisdom. It is the wisdom that we have within ourselves. It's not an exclusive possession of a Buddha. It's a potential that everyone has. Buddhas simply pointed out the road for us, and if we can follow that road, we too can open our original wisdom mine. The scientists, physicists, chemists, and many philosophers search outside for answers. In actuality, everything we need is contained within our own nature. In investigating Chan, we open up our own chemical laboratory and carry on all kinds of chemical experiments. Investigating Chan is a chemical process. In fact, it is the mother of science and the mother of philosophy, and is able to help us develop great wisdom. Once we develop great wisdom, all problems will solve themselves. People who investigate Chan meditation can open up great, perfect, mirror-like wisdom, wisdom of equality, wonderful contemplative wisdom, wisdom that accomplishes that which needs to be done. Once we uncover those 4 kinds of wisdom, then the 5 eyes and the 6 spiritual penetrations will come quite spontaneously, without seeking. Therefore, it's not necessary to pursue anything external, including spiritual powers. Everything is already contained within our own nature. However, we must have patience. Day and night, we should focus on our work. In the morning, we should find time to sit, and in the evening, sit again before sleep. That way we can lessen our desires and purify our thoughts. In essence, we are carrying out all kinds of experiments in our own chemical lab. Whatever kind of ingredient we put in, we will obtain a corresponding result. Therefore, it's important that we maintain proper mindfulness when we sit. Be focused at every moment. That kind of concentration will hone our wisdom in much the same way a stone is polished. One who is careless in the grinding, however, may grind the entire stone away to nothing. That refers to how, if we keep on doing upside-down things and abusing our precious energies and resources, our bodies will weaken from dissipation and eventually die of it. On the other hand, if we cherish our primal energies and do not abuse our bodies, then we will remain in good health and our wisdom will increase daily. Question: what kind of talk is wise? Answer by the Master: to be truly wise, we would speak simply, clearly, and to the point, not saying any more than is necessary. Question: what is the first thought? Answer by the Master: it's that very first understanding before you consciously deliberate. Whenever you think, you are using your human brain and not your enlightened mind. A verse by the Master for starting a Chan session. Winter meditation in San Francisco. 10,000 Buddhas shine their light upon this city. 10,000 people meditate on the way, eternal and equal. 10,000 dharmas return to one. We all become enlightened. 10,000 people light their blazing wisdom lamps. Speed and greed. University students have to choose a major, but once they have done that, If they fantasize on their goal rather than focusing on their studies, they may not succeed. That's because they have created a mental block that impedes their progress. For instance, a student wants a degree in medicine. If instead of focusing on his studies, he's always entertaining thoughts of how he will be a great doctor in the future, he'll probably never get there. He must, for the time being, set aside such thoughts and single-mindedly address himself to his studies. Then, in the future, he might realize his aim. Sitting in Chan meditation works much the same way. The purpose of sitting in Chan is for us to become enlightened, to open up great wisdom, and to end birth and death. However, when we are sitting there, we should not entertain such thoughts as, when am I going to get enlightened? When will I open great wisdom? When will I end birth and death? Instead, we need to be completely concentrated on investigating our topic. Who is mindful of the Buddha? Don't pay attention to whether or not you will become enlightened, whether or not you will open great wisdom, whether or not you will end birth and death. If you constantly harbor those thoughts, you will never become enlightened. And why is that? Those very thoughts create a mental block. We must instead forget about our body and mind, be completely free and at ease, be without impediments or hang-ups, and single-mindedly look into the topic, who is mindful of the Buddha? When we investigate to the point that the mountains have all been scaled and the river traced to its source, when we wonder whether there's still a road ahead, then suddenly among the dark willows' shade, bright flowers will emerge and another village appears. That's the time you will have come upon a totally different experience, something totally new to you. However, you don't need to harbor those kinds of thoughts either. When your skill matures, you will naturally arrive at that stage. Confucius said, "Don't be greedy for speed. Don't be in a hurry. Go too fast and you won't get there. Don't set your sights on small gains. Being fixed on small gains will prevent you from succeeding in big matters." Chan cultivators must focus their minds and not entertain any random thoughts. If we're able to reach this level of concentration, then everything we do will work out fine. We will obtain the result we deserve. However, we shouldn't hope to get something for nothing. I've just begun to sit and I want some kind of miraculous response. Don't be greedy for miraculous responses. Don't go looking for them. Those who are greedy for responses will easily take a wrong path and end up possessed by a demon. Demons will see that such a person is greedy for a bargain, and since that greed leaves the door wide open, they will worm their way in. If you aren't greedy for speed, and you aren't looking for a cheap deal, then the demons will have no way to bother you. All of you should recognize this principle clearly before you attempt to sit in Chan meditation. Don't overlook this important point. The analogy of focusing I mentioned just now applies to studying as well as to Chan. In whatever we do, we should aim to go forward. Don't harbor thoughts of getting something out of it. If we have ulterior motives, we have already gone against the way. Now I will bring up a very simple analogy to illustrate my point. When you're hungry, all you have to do is eat, and then you will get full. However, if you only think about how hungry you are, but you don't eat, then you will never get full. When you don't have enough clothes on, you feel cold. All you have to do is put on more clothes, and you won't feel cold anymore. But if you merely think about how cold it is and fail to put on more clothes, you will never get warm. The same principle applies to sitting in meditation. All you have to do is sit. You don't have to entertain thoughts like, when am I going to get enlightened? When will I open great wisdom? When will I end birth and death? All you have to do is simply proceed with your investigation. The way has to be walked. If we do not walk it, how could it be the way? Virtue has to be put into practice. If we do not practice it, how could it be virtue? We must apply whatever we learn, and then we will obtain a response. If you wish to obtain a response in meditation, first cast out 6 contradictory thoughts. Why do I call them contradictory? On the one hand, you want to get enlightened and possess great wisdom, but on the other hand, you continue using these 6 things that contradict the way. Those are contention, greed, seeking personal gain, selfishness, pursuit of personal benefits, and not telling the truth. Using these, we will never achieve our goals because those 6 contradictory thoughts go against the grain of enlightenment. So we must build a firm foundation in the 6 guidelines. Building a good foundation means smashing ignorance. The whole purpose of sitting in Chan meditation is to smash ignorance. Ignorance is lack of understanding. But the very root of ignorance is selfish love and desire. Therefore, cultivators of meditation must be careful to cast out selfish desire and to sever emotional love. If you cannot do that, then your attempts to gain awakening through sitting in Chan meditation will be impossible. This is an important point. Question: what's the fastest route to Buddhahood? How should we study? Which sutra or mantra should we recite? Which dharma should we cultivate? Answer by the Master: you should recite the sutras of not getting angry, not getting upset, and not scolding people. You will become a Buddha very quickly with these 3 sutras. Don't jump to conclusions. When investigating Chan, inside we regulate our minds and outside we temper our bodies. Body and mind coordinate and function as one. As the saying goes, our words should match our actions, and our actions should match our words. Body and mind should blend together. Sitting in Chan, we must try to gather in the wild horse and playful monkey that wreaks havoc with our minds. Don't let them run outside and jump around. Instead, our every move should be in accord with proper decorum, and we should conduct ourselves in an upright and composed manner. When we walk, sit, stand, or lie down, everything should be done in a proper way. Walk like a gentle breeze. Stand like a pine tree. Sit like a big bell. Lie like a bow. When we walk, we should move like a gentle breeze, not like a hurricane that whips up trees and knocks down houses. The same principle applies to when we stand, sit, or recline. At all times, we should conduct ourselves as if we were still meditating. Be relaxed, calm, and centered. That way, we will gain control over the wild horse and the mad monkey that cavort in our minds. We should coordinate our Chan investigation with our walking, standing, sitting, and reclining. That way, we will gain a response in our skill. What kind of response? We will experience a state of light ease. You can't pinpoint this state. It's as if there, as if not there. But in general, we feel a sense of lightness, ease, and joy. Our random thoughts will diminish. will be like still waters on which no waves arise. Look at the ocean. Waves surge up one after another. The waves inside our minds are the same. Random thoughts arise one after another. However, if we develop samadhi, then inside we can gather in our mind, and outside we can regulate our body. When both our body and mind have gotten on the right track, we will experience a sense of light ease. This is a preliminary stage in the process of Chan meditation. It is a foretaste of the first dhyana stage, the ground of happiness arising from concentration. It's a stage that many people go through as they start to apply effort in Chan. Therefore, don't take it as some very far out or extraordinary state. Don't become attached to it. If you think this is some sort of incredible state, then you're finished. You won't be able to make progress. You have drawn your own limits, and all of your former efforts will be wasted. You won't come to any true accomplishment. For this reason, the Shurangama Sutra says, if you don't consider it to be a sagely experience, then it can be called a good state. You shouldn't think of it as some kind of fantastic achievement, that you've accomplished something extraordinary, that you've become enlightened, or that you have verifiable fruition. Don't become smug and self-satisfied. That very self-satisfaction will call in the demons. Demons and those of deviant paths got to be where they are because they were greedy for spiritual powers, for extraordinary states. That's why they became demons in the first place. The Shurangama Sutra goes on to say, if you consider it a sagely experience, then you will be subject to deviant influences. You will very easily go down a wrong road and experience demonic possession. If you are greedy for small bargains, for small states, then you will easily go the wrong way. Therefore, do not become attached to any state that might arise in Chan meditation. Do not become attached to a good state or a bad state. When the Buddha comes, slay the Buddha. When a demon comes, slay the demon. Even if a Buddha appears before you, you should not be moved. Consider it a minor incident in your application of effort. Do not make a big deal of it. When demons appear before you, don't be scared. When the Buddha comes, do not be happy. When the demons come, do not be afraid. If you allow yourself to be happy, you can easily get off the right track. If you allow yourself to be turned by fear, you can also become possessed by a demon. In general, do not be moved by the 7 emotions: happiness, anger, sorrow, fear, love, hate, and desire. Getting turned by happiness, losing your temper, becoming depressed or fearful, giving in to emotional love, loathing, or desire, any one of these states is not proper. You should put a stop to the 7 emotions. In walking, standing, sitting, and reclining, be like still water, which has no waves. Once the 7 emotions and 6 desires move, the waters are stirred up, waves appear, and your mind will know no peace. The host of your mind, the mind king, should remain unmoving. When your nature is still and settled, the demons will be subdued, and everywhere, at all times, you will feel comfortable, calm, and serene. You won't feel afraid or worried. You will be quiet and composed like still waters, and your wisdom will appear. Only when your mind is without distractions will your wisdom be revealed. Therefore, you should coordinate your daily actions with your investigation of Chan and work hard. Question: are mediums, those who channel and so forth, part of the Buddha Dharma? Answer by the Master: all dharmas are the Buddha Dharma. None can be obtained. Or we could say that all dharmas are no Buddha Dharma. Anyway, we must let go of any attachment as we study Buddhism, sweep away all dharmas, and leave every mark. Question: what is true? Answered by the Master: anything that is true helps others and not us. This applies without regard to profession, faction, sect, or school of religion. To be more explicit, too often we appear to help others, but really mean to benefit ourselves. If we were not interested in money, then we're interested in sex. If not sex, then fame and fortune. In so doing, we are always haunted by a shadow. Passing our tests. If we want to become Buddhas, we must first undergo the demons. Who helps Buddhas become Buddhas? Demons help them. If there weren't any demons, there wouldn't be any Buddhas. And it's just because there are demons that there are Buddhas. Demons serve the purpose of helping Buddhas become Buddhas. Demons come to test us. Those tests help us progress. Each time we take another step forward. It's said if we hope to see an additional 1,000 miles, we have to climb another flight of stairs. Demons come to see if we are really up to it. They check us out to see if we have true spirit. If you've got it, then in the face of 100 hardships, you won't retreat from your resolve to attain Bodhi, to become awakened. The harder and more difficult the tests become, the more determined we will be to cultivate. Then, no matter what difficulty or opposition comes our way, we'll get through it with ease. We'll never feel there's anything unfair about our predicament. We'll never curse heaven or blame people. If we can be that way, then whether things go our way or not, we will be developing our skill in the perfection of patience. That patience will allow us to accept and recognize the tests that come our way. We won't bear enmity towards the demons. We will find it doesn't matter if we must undergo a little bitterness. We will even be able to make the vow to rescue the demons so that they too will take refuge with the triple jewel and set their minds on Bodhi. Never think of anything or anyone as an enemy. Don't harbor the least bit of vengeance in your thoughts. Being free of resentment, we can then change lances and spears into jade and cloth. We can change enmity and hatred into kindness and compassion. Look for the good side of everything. Don't get caught up in your own self-importance. Don't always be arguing in your own defense, saying, "Look at who I am. You're being so impolite to me." We shouldn't even entertain such thoughts. If something isn't going right, we should examine ourselves and recognize that the problem and its solution lies within us. Always look for your own mistakes, not others' wrongs. Truly recognize your own faults and don't discuss the faults of others. Others' faults are just my own. Being one with everyone is called great compassion. Being one with everyone includes all living beings, not just Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and other saints and sages. It also includes demons. It means being of the same substance with demons, too. Why are there demons, anyway? They are part of our own nature. Because we have demons in our nature, then other demons can come in from the outside as well. Well, what are the demons of our nature? Greed, hatred, and delusion, known as the three poisons, invite the demons from the outside to come in. So there's a popular expression, If you don't set out a dish of cat food, you won't attract flies. Demons are like that too. They will congregate if they detect that you have some scummy water, which they can stir up in order to catch some fish. They'll figure they can get something from you. They want to show off their abilities, display their spiritual penetrations. All that exists right within our own nature. And so, in our every move, in every word and thought, we must be honest and extremely careful. It is said, keep your words credible. Keep your conduct respectful. We must live up to what we say. What we say must be true and genuine. We should not tell lies. We should not, out of fear for our own mistakes, try to cover or gloss over our own shortcomings. We have to be very frank, open, and forthright. Our minds should be big and generous. We should possess a righteous spirit. The things we do must be based on truth, must be virtuous, must be in accord with the way, and must be done with a good heart. We should simply not do anything that does not fulfill those requirements. It doesn't matter how great an advantage we might gain by doing something. If that thing is not virtuous, does not accord with the way, and is not based in goodness, we absolutely must not do it. Anyone who cultivates the way must be endowed with true and actual wisdom. That includes never praising oneself or denigrating others. True cultivators would never say, "Look at me, I'm tops. I'm better than all of them. They are all so inferior. I'm the only one who's pure and lofty." Cultivators of the way must not be selfish or seek for self-benefit. Benefit others. Do not harm others to benefit yourself. This is extremely important. Take care not to look down on other people. Don't display discontent with what others are doing, making it obvious that only you are right. Many people here in the past were like that. Most people who had that fault did not make it. Their failures can act as a mirror for us all. Each of us should examine ourselves. We should review our past, pay attention to right now, and consider the future. If we can be mindful so that we never forget our good heart and virtue in the way, then, over time, very naturally, our good roots will increase. And if our good roots increase, then our resolve for the way will deepen. With a deep resolve for the way, we will be able to practice the Bodhisattva way and benefit all living beings. It is all connected. Question. Sometimes we meet people who are very unreasonable. Answer by the Master. Don't develop negative affinities with anyone. Use kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity with everyone. Be positive even if faced with sacrificing your life. Always forgive others and don't hate, be jealous, or obstruct others. Otherwise, you will be miserable later when the retributions resulting from indulging such afflictions become ripe. This is a verse for starting a Chan session by Master Hua. A place beyond. Dhyana paramita is a Sanskrit term meaning still reflection and subtle investigation. The mountains are lofty and the waters are deep, but there is nothing to fear. One begins to know that there is a place beyond here. Question. Could I become enlightened? Answer by the Master. Are you scared to die? Question. Am I enlightened? Answer by the Master. Do you still have sexual desire? Stillness. Sitting in Chan means stilling our thoughts. When we reach the point of utmost stillness, we will have a breakthrough. The Shurangama Sutra says, when stillness reaches the extreme point, light penetrates. However, we must reach stillness to the extreme point. Only then will our wisdom manifest. Only then will we become enlightened. If we do not reach the extreme point, the light will not penetrate, and we will not become enlightened. If you wish to be still to the ultimate point, you should base your cultivation upon the following 6 guidelines. 1. No fighting. Why is it that the world is getting worse and worse each day? It's because everybody is fighting. Fighting for fame, profit, authority, and position. The fiercest kind of fighting is that which involves lust. People fight with themselves all the time. One moment they want to cultivate the way, the next moment they want to strike it rich, or they want good food to eat, and at no time are they peaceful within themselves. Since people fight in their thoughts, they cannot get along with each other, and so there's strife among people. Confrontations and strife also happen among people because most are competing for personal advantages. Why do they want to compete for advantages? Many do that out of a wish to sustain their families, and the foundation of the family unit is built on sexual desire. In order to sustain this sexual desire, people have to fend for their own families, and this leads to mutual strife and struggle. From mutual strife among families develops strife among countries. The reason for wars between nations remains by and large the same. It starts out with contention between different citizens within the same country, then it goes on to wars between different countries. Soon this battling extends to world systems, battling with other world systems, and eventually to star wars. The result is one great battle filling the universe, stage in monumental proportions. But all that fighting begins with a single thought of strife. Therefore, when sitting in Chan, the very first thing we want to get rid of is our propensity to fight. 2. No greed. Investigating further, we find fighting is the result of greed. Compelled by greedy desire, we fight for name, profit, wealth, sex, food, sleep, and so forth. Since our greed can never be satisfied, we must get rid of it. 3. No seeking. Why are people greedy? Greed is motivated by seeking, pursuing things that lie outside one's rightful range. We are seeking outside, for example, when we want for ourselves what others have. 4. No selfishness. Why do people seek outside? Selfishness pushes people into seeking. They calculate for their own interests alone without regard for other people. Selfish people are afraid of everything because their minds are dark and they cannot see the light. They don't want to take a loss, and so they are often riddled with fear and paranoia. 5. No pursuit of personal advantage. Prompted by selfishness, we work only for our own advantage and think nothing of other people's interests. 6. No lying. People who have violated the previous 5 rules against fighting, being greedy, seeking, selfishness, and pursuing personal advantage will go on to lie. The fundamental motive behind lying is self-centeredness. One wishes to protect one's own private interests, and therefore one thinks up all sorts of ways to cheat others. Cultivators of the way must stop their random thinking, and then they will attain peace. If we hold on to these 6 afflictions day and night, then we won't enjoy a moment's peace. However, if we can put a stop to those deviant thoughts, then not only will our mind be at peace, The world will be at peace. There won't be any more trouble. Always remember, off by a hair's breadth in the beginning, you'll be off by 1,000 miles in the end. We may be only a little off at the start, but because of that little bit, we will grow increasingly worried and apprehensive. We'll start being afraid the sky will fall in. We'll start fretting that the earth may quake. We'll fear that the sun will fade away. By engaging in so much worrying, our vision will dim, our teeth will fall out, our hair will turn white, and our face will become wrinkled. We'll be waiting with apprehension for the day when we must see Yama, ruler of the dead. This all comes about from not understanding the fundamental principles involved in being a person. Through cultivating the way, we will come to understand these 6 guidelines, and then we will attain great wisdom, great peace and comfort, and great self-mastery. Finally, Chan has to be practiced. It can't be talked about. For instance, you might say, it's really good to study. It's really good to study. However, if you don't actually study, you will never derive any benefit from your talking about it. You say sitting in Chan is really good. Sitting in Chan is really good, but if you don't actually sit, then you also will not derive any benefit. We must use our precious time to cultivate this subtle, wonderful Dharma door. Whoever manages to reach ultimate stillness will have penetrating light and will open great wisdom. Question. According to the law of cause and effect that applies to the 3 periods of time, are the I who will be receiving the effect in the future and the I who is creating the karma in this life the same one? Answer by the Master. To know what we have done in our past lives, just look at what we face in this life. What happens to you in this life is a result of your deeds in lives past. To know what we will face in our future lives, just watch what we do in this life. What you will get in your next life depends on what karmic obstacles you create in this life. For example, if you always kill, you will have a short lifespan in the future. If you always steal, you will be robbed in your next life. Question. There are many things in this world that you won't get if you don't fight for them. But the Master talks about no fighting, no greed, no seeking. How should we give and take here? Answer by the Master. When it is mealtime, we should eat. Otherwise, we should not. Why world wars start? There's one more important point I'd like to mention, and that is that we should not get angry. We should try to get rid of all our afflictions. In other words, we shouldn't let anything upset us. Our temper and afflictions, the things that upset us, are our biggest enemies. They are the biggest enemies of each of us as individuals. They are the biggest enemies of our families, and they are the biggest enemies of our nation and of our world. If we didn't have anger and affliction, then the world would be peaceful. The very basic reason why world wars start is because people are upset about something. If we could all just learn to yield rather than contend, if we could all learn to be patient with what most people find it impossible to be patient with, if we can bear what others cannot bear and eat what others cannot eat and take what others cannot take and practice what others cannot practice, then we will be much better people and better educators ourselves. Question. What is more important, to save myself or others? Which is of higher priority? Answered by the Master. Neither one is more or less important. They are equally important. It is a mistake on your part to want to differentiate them by order of importance. Question. Why does Buddhism encourage vegetarianism? Answer by the Master. Those who eat meat have strong desires, while vegetarians have less. Buddhism believes in compassion and treating all living beings as if everyone was the same. Buddhism maintains that we should avoid killing and protect life because we see all living beings as having the Buddha nature and believe that all can become Buddhas. Question: what is delusion? Answer by the Master. Delusion is when we don't feel that we're deluded. Subduing afflictions. With your fist, smash the yellow-striped tiger in the heavens above. With your foot, kick the red-bearded dragon at the bottom of the sea. In composing this couplet, I'm teaching you to strike back and not take a loss. But in striking back, don't strike people. Strike the dragon and tiger. Those two are the fiercest creatures in the world. If you cannot subdue the dragon and tame the tiger, you are not a great hero. To be heroic, you must do that. Tigers are yellow, and some dragons are red. Tigers represent people's tempers. Dragons represent their anger. Subduing the dragon and taming the tiger means getting rid of your own fire. When that fire is gone, you won't get angry. The dragon will be subdued. When your temper is cooled and you're free of afflictions, then the tiger is tamed. Smashing with your fist is analogous to the heroic spirit you must use in subduing your anger. Another saying goes, reaching the heights of the way, you will have subdued the dragon and tiger. Achieving fulfillment of virtue, you will be protected by ghosts and spirits. Hotheads lack virtue. When your virtuous nature reaches perfection, you will have no temper. Does that mean I just stand there and take it, you ask? If you have the concept of standing there and taking it, then you still have a temper. You must reach the level where you are not even aware of being insulted. Then, no matter how anyone acts toward you, you will be able to bear it. A verse goes, content with our lot in life, we'll find our vexations gone. Sounds and sights won't entice us. Even less will name and gain. Glare at me, I won't even notice. Scold me, I'll graciously acquiesce. Strike me, I'll quickly kneel down. I'll only laugh, never cry. Search the world for this rarest of gems. Hardly a person has it, but the patched robe monk from the West cradles this pearl in his bosom. Content, we always feel satisfied. Discontent, we experience continual suffering. Content, we won't have even a trace of affliction. I'm beyond grasp. As a light, a breeze, or as the bright moon. If someone scolds me, I assume it's because I've truly done something wrong. If I was not wrong, others wouldn't scold me. I use principle to silence my opponent. If someone hits me, I will kneel down before them and allow them to strike the other cheek. I will turn the other cheek, lest one cheek get jealous of the other. I'll only laugh, never cry. A person with understanding will not suffer. A wise person doesn't know suffering. Such a person won't be distressed by his situation. He will use laughter, not tears. But it's hard to find someone like that. There is, however, the unassuming monk in his patched robe who holds the pearl of patience in his heart. Anyone who can be like that is truly extraordinary. Question. According to Buddhism, rather than retaliating against someone who has humiliated us, we should be patient. But in the eyes of others, that makes us little wimps. What should we do, really? Answer by the Master. Don't be moved by others. Who cares whether they think we're wimps or not? We're not being patient if we're affected by what other people say. We must have our own guiding principles. What's happening? Right here, right now, nothing's happening. We muddled people make things happen. People basically feel that they are doing worthwhile things, but actually it's not certain that they are performing good works. Why do I say that? If they have an ulterior motive, if the seed of their deed itself is impure, then the work is not necessarily good. When personal greed becomes the motivation for doing good things, then personal greed is the impure seed. So how should it be then? We should do things as if nothing were happening. We should feel that whatever we do is our basic responsibility and not seek outside. Don't look outside for anything. Look into all the activities of the day as if nothing were happening. The Sixth Patriarch Sutra says, basically, there's not a single thing. So where can the dust alight? If we see things and awaken to them, then we can transcend the world. If we see things and are confused by them, then we remain in the cycle of rebirth. It is not easy for the people of this world to change behavior that's based on upside-down motives. But if we can leave behind upside-down dream thinking, then we will be able to obtain ultimate nirvana, where emptiness is not empty and form is not form. Nirvana is our own natural habitat, our original home. But all of us have turned our backs on enlightenment and are pursuing the things of this world. We no longer recognize our natural environment. We cannot find our true homes, so we are very upside down and muddled. We run from east to west, seeking fame and fortune. We chase after profit and gain. Then we die. And why does it happen? We people make it happen. Question. I still don't understand the nature of living beings. Also, what is the Buddha nature? Answer by the Master. It's the Buddha nature once you have become enlightened. It's the nature of living beings while you are deluded. Chan meditation pointers. During the Chan session, nobody should talk. Get hold of your Chan topic, keep to it, and develop your own skill. Don't talk to anybody. Don't say hello to anybody because there's no view of self and no view of people anyway. So when people come and go, what has come and gone? Even if you recognize them, ignore them. You have to be single-minded and absolutely put your mind to it. A Chan session is without an appearance. There's no characteristic to it because everybody's going back to find his or her original face. So we don't want to be like our usual selves. We want to be very free and at ease, unhindered and natural. When walking, trying to go too fast may cause you to bump into people. Going too slowly, it's easy to go to sleep and fall down. When we walk, we should keep our eyes open, but we shouldn't look straight ahead. We should look down at the people's feet in front of us so we don't step on them. When there are a lot of people, the walking will have to be slower. When there are fewer people, you can go faster if you want. When you walk, you can't clasp your hands in all sorts of ways because you will just be tying yourself up. Let your arms hang naturally. From the moment the session begins, don't talk too much. Apply your skill. What skill is it you're going to develop? Maybe you will look into the question, who is mindful of the Buddha? Or maybe you will ask yourself, what has no end? Everything in the human realm is subject to extinction, so you can inquire into what is that will not disappear. What is it that will never be finished? Use whatever effort you prefer, and you'll have some good news. If you single-mindedly apply your effort, you will definitely obtain some advantage. everything in the world will disappear. What won't disappear? Ask yourself. Don't be afraid of suffering. Don't be afraid of trouble and difficulty. When you're sitting here, your legs hurt. Don't pay attention to them. You want to end birth and death. So in order to do so, you must definitely have a kind of fearless spirit and not be afraid. Don't even speak of pain. Tell yourself, even if I die, I'm going to sit in Chan meditation. I want to cultivate. You also have to be patient with wanting to fall asleep. Well, how do you bear that? Open your eyes when you want to sleep. Investigate Chan with your eyes. Don't even entertain thoughts of wanting to fall asleep. Don't close your eyes. Don't give in to it. Adversity helps us on the way. Do not just go along. Fight back against the pain. It hurts? Well, the more it hurts, the better. The more pain, the better. The more you think you want to sleep, the more you're going to investigate Chan. When you have investigated to the point that your yang energy is full, then the demon of sleep will run away. If you don't fight off the demon of sleep and just admit defeat, then you're going to sleep forever. You're going to be caught up in sleep. If you can come to truly understand this principle, then you will not be so compelled to sleep. It's when you have a view of self that you're afraid of pain. If there weren't any self, any ego, then you wouldn't be afraid of pain. You say, well, I'm here, I exist. How can we say I don't exist? You're here. Well, who isn't here? Who's the one who's not here? There isn't any here or any not here. That's not having a self. Because there's nobody here, there's no self. Having the idea that you are here, you have a self. If you're here, you should at least be free and at ease about it. You shouldn't harbor a view of self. If there is a view of self, then you're not free and at ease, and there are a lot of problems. It's not easy to express what these problems are. Perhaps because you don't get enough sleep, you feel uncomfortable. If you don't eat enough food, your stomach complains. If you don't wear enough clothes, your body gets cold. All of these things happen just because you have a self. You may say, well, I'd like to be without a self, but how do I do it? Just sit in Chan meditation, and once you've sat long enough, you will reach a point where you don't have a self. No matter what we set out to do, in the beginning, it's difficult. If we can get past that difficulty, then things get easier. In sitting in Chan, although we're not doing other kinds of work, nonetheless, if we sit there long enough, we will begin to feel very uncomfortable. At that point, if we can be patient, no matter how uncomfortable we are, if we can bear it and not be moved by this situation, then we develop some concentration, some samadhi power. With some samadhi power, we can strengthen our wisdom. Sitting in Chan, we hold the precepts. Holding the precepts relates to suffering and pain. If we can sit here and single-mindedly inquire into who is mindful of the Buddha, if we can keep our mind on our meditation topic without ever letting it cease or forgetting it, then at that point, we need to ask ourselves if we have a lot of offenses. Have we created much bad karma? The point being, can a person commit a lot of offenses while investigating Chan? Would a person be having false thoughts about wanting to kill someone? Would someone be thinking that a certain person is really horrible and be thinking of ways to do him in? Would someone's meditation topic be about how to kill people? No, I don't think so. While investigating Chan meditation, would a person be thinking about how to steal things? No, I don't think so. Just that absence of killing and stealing is holding the precepts. It's called holding that is not holding. Without there being any self to hold the precepts, they're naturally held. When the precepts are naturally held, then the meditator can gain some samadhi power. People who don't investigate Chan are subject to all kinds of random thoughts, which may include fantasizing that involves killing, stealing, lust, lying, and drinking. The potential to do those things is always there. So you see, the difference between holding the precepts and committing offenses lies in our state of mind. If we're here investigating meditation, circumstances that lead to creating offenses simply do not present themselves. That's what's meant by holding the precepts without really holding them. Without really being in samadhi, we have samadhi. Although we are aware of the physical discomforts that initially occur when learning to sit in meditation, we manage to bear them and get through them. As we develop real samadhi, the power of our wisdom unfolds. Thus, investigating Chan is a process of diligently cultivating precepts, samadhi, and wisdom. Diligently cultivating precepts, samadhi, and wisdom is putting to rest greed, hatred, and delusion. Are you a lump of gold? To find out for sure, you will have to be smelted by some fire. If you're not true gold, you'll just burn away. If you are true gold, you won't fear the glowing furnace. Gold never loses anything. No matter how much it is smelted, it still weighs the same. Fool's gold, on the other hand, will burn up. Start with 10 ounces of fool's gold, and after smelting it, you'll end up with 1 ounce. In the Chan hall, we are being smelted as if in a furnace. We are being smelted to the point that we forge Vajra indestructible bodies. Some people say, I can't take the suffering. This is too much suffering, too much pain. I can't stand it. Well, let me ask you, who knows it is suffering? Who knows it is pain? I know, you say. I know the pain. I know the suffering. Well, who are you? I'm this body right here. Oh, so your body is you? Well, when you die, is your body still there? If someone were to hit your dead body, it wouldn't register suffering or pain. If someone were to scold it, it would have no reaction. It wouldn't be aware of those problems. Of course, you say, it's dead. It doesn't have any problems at all. You can be as if you were dead right now, if you want to. There's a saying, if you do not want to undergo death, you must first be a living dead person. That saying means that if we want to learn how not to die, we have to go through the experience of being as if dead. Well, are you talking about suicide? Absolutely not. The object is to be as if dead. That's all. If we can be as if dead, then we won't contend, we won't be greedy, we won't be hateful, and we won't be stupid. What we're discussing is just a method. It's not that I'm telling you to really die. There's no need to be afraid. Don't take me literally and jump to the conclusion that investigating Chan is like being dead. I'm just talking about acting as if you were dead. I'm not talking about real death. If you would like to end birth and death, then try out being a living dead person.